The worst part wasn't the silence, it was the stillness. That kind of dead stillness that creeps into your bones after months of trying and failing. After losing my job, the world didn't go quiet. It just stopped moving. I thought it would be temporary. I told myself it was just a bump in the road. But 1 month became 2, then 3, then 4. No paycheck, no savings, just rejection emails and cold calls that led nowhere. I applied everywhere. I showed up for interviews. Some I was overqualified for, but each time something strange would happen. A missed reference, a system error, a hiring freeze no one had mentioned before. Eventually, I discovered that a third-party background check company, a service most companies in my field used, had mangled my information. When my social security number and date of birth were entered, their system would return "not found," like I didn't exist, like I had been erased. Credit cards defaulted. My score tanked. Accounts I'd held for years were closed without mercy. My phone rang less and less. Bills piled up. Family and friends offered help here and there, but it wasn't enough. Not to keep the lights on for this long. And yet, the lights stayed on. I'd brace for a shut-off notice or a dark house after work, but it never came. Water, power, internet. Everything still worked, even when I couldn't pay on time. I couldn't explain it. It made no sense. By the time October rolled around, I was emotionally numb. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. Just tired. Tired of waking up to a world that didn't seem to have room for me in it anymore. Then came that evening. I pulled up into my driveway like I had 100 times before. My car rattled slightly, low on gas. The porch light flickered as it usually did. But then, I saw them. 3 small birds. They were perched right on my doormat, lined up like sentries, brownish-gray with feathers fluffed against the cold. They didn't move when I opened my car door, didn't even flinch when I stepped onto the walkway. Only when I got close, mere feet away, did they take flight. They rose all at once, not in panic but in harmony, as if they had been waiting for me. And in that moment, something shifted. A weight, a real physical heaviness lifted off my chest, off my spirit. I don't know how to describe it better than that, just lighter. As if something dark and sticky had finally let go. And then the thought came, clear, calm, unmistakable. It is over. That night I slept deeply for the first time in months. No tossing, no turning, no waking in a sweat wondering how I'd make it another day. Just rest, like my body finally trusted the world again. When I woke up, I didn't feel rushed to check emails or job sites. I didn't even feel anxious, which in itself felt strange. It was as if something within me knew things had changed, though there was no sign of it yet. But then my phone rang, an unfamiliar number. I let it go to voicemail, old habit. I didn't want another recruiter brushing me off or telling me the company had decided to go in a different direction. Plus, for all I knew, it could be yet another debt collection call. But something urged me to check the message. It was a woman, an HR rep from a company I'd applied to weeks ago. She sounded excited, almost apologetic for the delay. "We had some holdups on our end," she said, "but we'd love to bring you on board. You can start as soon as you're ready." I sat there staring at the phone like it was a trick, like I'd misheard. I called her back immediately. She confirmed everything: salary, benefits, full-time role, no mention of background check issues, no hesitation, just ready. I started the very next day. It wasn't just a job, it was stability. A company with room for growth, a decent commute, kind people. It was as though I'd stepped out of one life and into another. A different energy entirely. In the days that followed, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. But instead, more shoes kept showing up, the good kind. A refund I'd forgotten I was owed arrived. A friend I hadn't spoken to in ages sent a random grocery gift card just because. My landlord waived a late fee. Even stranger? I checked my utility accounts. Somehow I was never flagged for shut-off. All the grace periods had been stretched further than policy allowed. No dings, no penalties, just overdue notices. And patience. That's when I knew, really knew, this hadn't been random. During those dark months, it had felt like something was after me. Not just bad luck, but like an invisible force determined to crush me, smother me, erase me from every system, job databases, credit bureaus, even social records. But now, I sensed something else had been there too. Something just as invisible, but stronger, protective, patient, fighting back, slowly and steadily, until it could finally break through. And maybe those 3 birds were its messengers. If stories like this move you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life moments that feel touched by something beyond. Every click helps keep these stories flying. Looking back, it's hard to believe how close I came to the edge. 4 months without a paycheck is enough to dismantle even the most carefully built life. I had no savings cushion, no backup plan. The credit cards were maxed, and some lenders had already slammed the doors shut. Friends and family helped where they could, but it wasn't enough to explain how I made it through. Yet, somehow, I still had water, electricity, internet. Even stranger, nothing I owned was repossessed. My car, still there. My apartment, somehow untouched by eviction threats. It made no sense. And yet it did, because after those 3 birds flew away, after that strange and peaceful "it is over" whispered itself into my mind, things began to reorder, not just outwardly, but within. My spirit felt steadier, like someone had stopped the bleeding. Like the invisible storm that had followed me day and night had finally lost its grip. I began to reflect deeply on what had happened. What if the roadblocks weren't just coincidence? What if that background check system glitch was more than a clerical error? It had listed my social security number and date of birth as not found. Not incorrect, just gone. That doesn't just happen. What if this wasn't just about losing a job, but about being sifted spiritually, like I was walking through a battlefield I couldn't see? The opposition I felt during those months wasn't just financial ruin. It felt personal, like something was bent on erasing my identity, my future, my hope. But something else, someone else, wouldn't let it. I now believe I was being preserved, that there was a divine shield over my life, holding back the worst of it, that even as one force tried to destroy, another was fighting silently in the background, winning inch by inch until it finally broke through. Those 3 birds? I still don't know what they were exactly. Sparrows, doves? I just know they weren't usually there. And the way they flew off, like a weight leaving with them, it was no ordinary moment. To this day, when things get heavy, I sometimes remember them, and I smile. Because I survived something I can't fully explain, and maybe that's the point. Maybe some stories aren't meant to be perfectly understood, just witnessed, just shared. So someone else, standing at their own doorstep of despair, might know they're not alone. That a turning point may be just a moment away. If this story stirred something in you, don't just leave quietly. Like the video if you felt the weight of the struggle. Share it with someone who might need hope today. Subscribe for more real-life stories that make you wonder. And tell us in the comments, what do you think about the three little birds? Was it just coincidence or something more? Do you believe there are unseen forces fighting for us when all seems lost? We'd love to hear your thoughts.